Hello everyone, want to show you how to make such an effect in epoxy resin. Let's go! So guys, I knew what I was going to pour, so I prepared the mold in advance. If you are working with the dried flowers, you know that the delicate petals and buds tend to flop to the surface. But here's the trick. You can see in this mold, but I'll show you in another one. When we pour resin with the dried flowers, all at once, the flowers flow to the surface. To prevent this, you can pour a thin layer first, place the dry flower, and then make the effect. That's what I'm doing now because I want to create a lot of these petals. Or you can put the dry flowers and put little stones on the opposite side to keep them from floating. And this one didn't float because they were heavy enough and stay at the bottom. But the small roses floated, so I covered them with the stones in the same color. So let's move on to the first step of your work. You have a mold. About an hour and a half or 2 hours before pouring the resin, pour a thin layer into the mold. Arrange the dry flowers in the pattern you want. You can use as few as many as you like. Any pattern you want to create. I decided to make a garden like this. Pour the resin, place the dry flowers and let the resin cure for about 2 hours. And it depends of cure time of your resin, of course. Mine is harder and now I'm going to create the effect. I mixed the resin and now I'm going to add some color to it. I'm going to make a pour in the color of oh my god, I forgot what the flowers are called. Does anybody know what they call it? Violets, right? Violets. I think they call violets. In the color of violets, I've made a dark blue and a light blue pigment. I mix it 30 grams each, but my mold is pretty big as you can see, and I only need enough resin for half of my mold anyway. Here I mix it a drop of black and drop of blue to get the really dark blue color. I mixed the first cup very well and then mixing the second one. And I'm using medium viscosity resin Art Pro by Resin Pro. The second color pigment is more dense because I want the second color to be lightly. And the first one doesn't really matter, it can be dense or transparent, it's up to you. I'm pouring the first layer. You can see guys, we usually divide our mold into the half, right? And then I move my starting point just a little bit away from the visual line because the resin will move and spread out. It will go a little further that we need and take up a little more space that we want, and we don't want that because it will mess up effect we're trying to achieve. We need half and a little bit move back by a centimeter. And now we're gonna pour our first layer evenly. Same with the side where we'll finish. We also pour it not all the way to the end. And for the thickness of the filling, any amount of pigment, any amount of resin, you base of your own mold. Don't go overboard with too much, otherwise the effect won't work. But if you go too little, then it won't spread out. Don't add the dark nose again for the cup, check it out and pour light resin. And here guys, I really like adding more color on top. You can also add pearl of white here on top. Look here, do you see how the resin is running? But since I only do a half, I didn't want it to take up too much space. I'm using only 2 colors. Now I'm using the rest of the resin to push the fill and the cover it all. So you can see it's actually a very simple effect. I'm not going to decorate the middle. That's pretty much it. It's really simple and beautiful. And now I want to decorate the effect, and I hope you learned something. Have a nice day. Ciao.